Hi, we're looking at a series of books, and today it's the books of Gerald Seymour. Now, unlike some of the others I've discussed, these aren't linked by a common character, but most of his books, and he's written quite a few, are linked by a theme of terrorism and counter-terrorism. So I think we can treat them as a series, and he's written some of the most classic books in this genre, really. One of the things that Gerald Seymour does very, very well is he portrays the antagonistic very, very well. He really tells you who the bad guys are and what the motivations are, and also with the good guys. And it's not a black and white world. The good guys have faults, um, problems, and make mistakes, and as do the bad guys, the terrorists as well. Gerald Seymour was a journalist. He worked for ITN um, all over the world, and like Frederick Forsyth, who tend to write in thrillers. Um, he has a background with lots of good sources and the kind of inside scoop on a lot of what was happening. And his first book, Harry's Game, really did make a splash when he wrote it. It was very topical at the time as well. It concerns the IRA have sent an assassin to London, and he kills a cabinet minister in front of his family. And this causes real ripples because the prime minister really feels the need to react. And military intelligence are given the job of finding someone who can act as an undercover agent within Belfast. So they come up with an officer, Harry Brown, who was originally from Northern Ireland, so he can kind of get the accent, and they put him through a training program. And unfortunately, the unit that's training and tasking him is a bit of a ramshackle affair. Anyway, he gets inserted into Northern Ireland, and it's the story of someone trying to elicit information and so on, and it leads up to a real great climax. Um, Big smash. The book was a big hit. He went on to write another really terrific book called The Glory Boys, and this was the PLO, the Palestinian terrorists, want to kill an Israeli scientist who's going to be at a conference in London, and they get support from the IRA to do this. So it was originally a team of Palestinians, but they get intercepted in Europe, and only one makes it across. And he then teams up with this IRA guy who's providing mainly logistic support to him, and but he's going to pursue the operation. The Israelis have got wind of this and have alerted the British authorities, and MI5 are involved, and they decide to beef up the protection of the Israeli scientist. And they bring in what would now be called a contractor, but a guy who really did odd jobs for them on a as and when required basis, a chap called Jimmy, who one of the senior officers in MI5 encountered him during military service, and they put him next to the Israeli scientist, and the book then shows the tensions between Jimmy and the Israeli bodyguards, two protection officers, and also between the Palestinian and the Irish guy. And again, like Harry's Game, it was very topical. Um, it was kind of stuff that was in the headlines at the time, and it was a terrific book. There's two main climaxes to it, and one involves the SAS, which at the time no one was really writing much about them, but that they are brought in to do a house assault. And then there's a climax at Heathrow Airport, and it was a terrific book. It gripped me completely. Then he wrote lots of others, Italian terrorism. He wrote one that had a theme of a sniper, and I know Lofty was consulted on that for some background. And he he's still writing. One of his just been published now. But another one that I really enjoyed was this one, The Journeyman Tailor. And this is similar territory to Harry's Game. Again, you've got an IRA terrorist operating on the mainland, and the MI5 they need to replace their man in Belfast. So a junior officer called Bren is given the job, and they put him through a hard skills training course. And it kind of parallels the previous book, Harry's Game, in that. But there's a twist to this, because they get this young guy, Bren, and there's a PTI, and he says, oh, well, we'll see what this chap's made of, and doesn't look too much to me, and we'll soon have him vomiting, blah, blah, blah. Takes him out for a run. What they don't know, because he hasn't told anyone, is he's a very, very keen runner, and he runs marathons, and he runs the PTI into the ground completely. So it was a really nice reversal of what normally happens. But then they go, well, when he gets over the water, Parker will sort him out. They keep going on about this MI5 legend, Parker. So he arrives over the water and is met by Parker, who turns out to be a female, a girl. It's one of the best characters, I think, that Gerald Seymour's created, Kathy Parker. She's a really well-written portrayal of a female operator. And basically what the book kind of is talking about is the work of 14 Int, or the death, but it wasn't really known at the time. It was still very much a top secret organization. But what he describes really would be what they'd get up to, the surveillance and so on. And again, you're in the other side of the camp. There's the family of the terrorist, etc., and how it's all put together. It really is. It's one of the better books I've read about the Irish terrorist problem. Now, several of his books have been made into TV series. Most notably was Harry's Game, with Ray Lonnan playing Harry. Really, really good. A big hit at the time. And the music by Clannad was absolutely haunting. And I was working on a team at the time, and one of the guys I was working with was ex-Det, and I hadn't seen Harry's Game. I'd read the book, hadn't seen it, and because we were in London, he lived in London. He was watching it at home at night and coming in telling me about it, and he said it was spot on. It was very, very good. So that was very, very well made. And then The Glory Boys was also made into a TV series by Yorkshire Television, and very good performances. Rod Steiger was the Israeli scientist. There was a fantastic performance as Jimmy by really, really what you might call an unexpected performance because they brought an American actor in to play a British operator, and Alfred Burke played the senior MI5 officer. Joanna Lumley was his secretary, in not a glamorous part by any means, and it really was well done. It was gripping. The locations, there were a lot of places that I recognised, hotels that I was working in down in London on protection. Really good, terrific adaptation of the book, and it followed the book very, very well. As I say, had the SAS house assault in it, and then the finale at Heathrow. I won't spoil the plot, but I do recommend those books, and I recommend the both of those series, Harry's Game and The Glory Boys, are both available on DVD from Amazon. I'll put a link in to them. So yeah, Gerald Seymour is still writing really great books, and he's certainly one of the top in that field.